Previously on the Mimic Commentary.
And one other, whom grace would again bless, a tarnished of no renown. Cross the fog to the lands between, to stand before the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord.
Hello, my mimics, and welcome back to the Mimic Commentary, episode 159, where we continue through the deep root depths, and we get to pick up a legendary item. And before we do, I just want to make mention to how creepy the soundtrack is down here, how oppressive the lighting is. It feels suffocating. Just looking at this scene. So we come out of this cave, and we got a ton of Numen runes and rune arcs from the giant swollen ants. And the last time we got that many runes from an ant was an ant down in Angel River. So there's a waterfall here, and we had to go up this waterfall to reach deeper depths. And we're beneath the Erd Tree, which is above Liurnia and above Caelid. So it seems most likely that this place is the highest elevation within the underground. Then this one is the second highest elevation, and this is the lowest. So all of the water seems to be spiraling down this way. And since this is the Shifra Aqueduct, well, that could mean the aqueduct isn't just the eternal city architecture, but it could be a much larger, like ecological engineering, I guess we would call it. That's what ecological engineering is from George R. Martin's Thousand Worlds, particularly Tough Voyaging, which is one of Miyazaki's favorite book series. He makes mention of it. It's on his bookshelves. And it follows a character, Haviland Tuft, who gets a seed ship. And with the seed ship, they're able to remake entire planets, remake the genome of animals, clone animals and people. He makes a bunch of telepathic cats for himself. And then, spoiler alert, at the very end, he essentially... Oh, there's one, Call Him Moses, where he pretends to be God to fight against a prophet who claims that he's talking to God. And in the very end, he does population control on a planet. And the character, a reoccurring character who appears in multiple of the books, her name's Tully Moon, or Tolly Moon, Toolymune. She likens Tuff to a god. And Tully Moon, when we think, or Tolly Moon, we think Tolly Moon, we have to think Tully, like Catelyn Tully from Song of Ice and Fire, Catelyn Stark, when she marries Ned Stark and becomes the Lady of the North, the Lady of Winterfell, who worship the old gods, the gods of the tree, as opposed to the newer gods, the faith of the Seven in the rest of Westeros. So she is a parallel to Rennala in Elden Ring because of what their stories look like. So Catelyn's husband, Ned, has to leave Winterfell and go to the capital to be the king's hand. And in that time, a lot of terrible things befall her children, and she has to grieve with that on her own. We look at Rennala. Her husband, Radigan, has to leave for the capital to become the Elden Lord, and then terrible things befall her children, and she has to grieve alone. Not only that, but the colors of Rennala's items, these are the Tully House colors. So, just like Catelyn Stark She has the same story and the same characterization. But just like Tali Moon, she's in a story with possible ecological engineering and actually might be a descendant of the culture that did that. Because Renal is part of dancer culture. In the High Road Cave, we fight a golem. And that golem, part of a Blackstone civilization that had gone to ruin. Not only did the golems have giant bows, giant halberds, by looking at their arrows, this civilization had the power of the storms and tempestuous winds. The structure on their arrows looked like tree roots, mushroom caps, and then butterflies. And they also had ancient magic. And we find that infrastructure and that architecture not just in the High Road Cave, but we find it on the sides of Caelid. We find it making the entirety of the Weeping Peninsula. We see it in the Runestream Precipice, where there's water literally coming out of it into Liurnia. So the only reason why there's water in Liurnia, the only reason why there's lakes in Liurnia, is because of this culture right here. So, tying back to tough voyaging in this ecological engineering, using a seed ship to manufacture a different type of planet, it could be a case that, you could make the case that the lands between is made artificially, and the water is purposely being funneled down in this direction and then out of here. Because this is when we look at the prophecy painting. In the prophecy painting, so important, we have water being funneled out of Limgrave. Then we have the Chapel of Anticipation. This is where we begin the game. This is and we pick the prophet, and we know that the prophecy is the burning of the Erd Tree. Then we see Stormvale Castle. That's where we got the prophecy painting. But we found paintings in Stormvale Castle that showed this same exact landscape, except the castle wasn't there and the chapel wasn't there. Just the Divine Tower and a Stormhawk, showing that the Stormhawks, thinking about this culture that has power of over storms, they knew the significance of this region, but maybe not exactly why. They may have not tied a religious element to it. In this photo, we get the water coming out. So, in this photo, in this painting, we get the same black stone, the black stone frames. It goes Death, Blackstone Civilization, Church of Pilgrimage, Minor Erd Tree. This one doesn't have any of that, except it has the Raya Lucaria. It has the culture. It has the Tully Moon connection, and then Redmane also has these pillars. So this culture is so important that it's been framed in 3 of 4 of our first paintings, and possibly the descendants of this ancient culture. Because what are the Carians? Remember, I talked about the ecological engineers. And they're able to make cloned animals. What do we have in Elden Ring? Cloned blood. Slivers of meat. Strip of white flesh. Silver husks. Living jar shards, maybe? Ducust herba. Then we looked at the crucible stuff. This is like if I was thinking, okay, what would Haviland Tuft make on his seed ship? He would make melted mushroom. I think it would look like melted mushrooms. But one of the alien species in Thousand Worlds, they would be making Erdleaf. They would be making, in Men of Greywater Station, the literal magic trees. These people dream of a magic tree, and then the spores cause them to kill each other. And we've already found, a ton of fungal stuff, just in the past few episodes. I mean, the Crucible Horn Great Shield literally has fungal spore pods on it. And, a mycelial network growing out. So it's that's crazy. I don't remember where I started this tangent. Oh, these guys are artificial, too. I kind of went on a tangent and forgot where I started with it. So let's continue and pick up this. Oh yeah, last episode I talked about ants and how they do fungus stuff too. Okay, what do we got? Ooh, Elden Stars. Legendary, legendary, legendary. What a legendary pull. So just even looking at it, okay, how much do I need? 50 faith, holy crap. I only have 34. It's going to be forever before I can cast this. Okay, so 50 faith. You need a lot of faith to believe this. So that's telling me let's say this is meta theorizing. To do any of to really understand what you're learning from this lore, you have to have a lot of faith. 50 faith is insane. Like, you got to be really, you got to believe, okay? Okay, so I'm a Mets fan, right? And the tagline for the New York Mets is, you got to believe. Just got to believe. So, to be a Mets fan, you need probably 99 faith. To be a Christian, maybe 70 faith. I don't know. It's tough being a Mets fan. You really gotta believe. But in the terms of Elden Ring, it's saying you need a lot of faith to believe in Elden Stars. As opposed to the sorceries. We do theorizing on Rock Blaster. You just need a little, little head smart to figure out what's going on with the Glintstone sorcerers who failed in the academy are now forced to mine for the rest of their lives, Then you gotta be 34 intelligence to start theorizing about Carian phalanx. Now, is that like making swords, like making fake weapons, making fake warfare? So some countries, some nations might participate in false wars because these are fake swords. They're magic swords. They're not real swords. They're not real steel. They're not real iron. They're magic. It's saying that, like, people will manufacture conflict for their own gain, which kind of makes sense with the Carians because it doesn't take too much intelligence to see how important it is that they were taught in Old Concord by the Crystallians. However, to understand the wisdom of stone with Shattering Crystal and Crystal Release, which is the Crystal Sun, you need 41 intelligence. So you got to be smart to figure this one out. Doesn't take too much to figure out why it's important that the Carians and the Crystallians are aligned, but to know what the Carians know, you need 71 intelligence. And that's just to say, like, for Renala to cast her full moon, she needs 70 intelligence. So for her to do what she did, take over the Academy of Raya Lucaria, bewitch the Academy. Bewitch the Academy. For you to be able to bewitch the Academy. Or what else did Renala do? Become its master. To become the master of the Academy. To be able to lead Glintstone Knights and establish the House of Caria's royalty. To become the master of the Academy. And make your own royal house. You need to be so intelligent that you know how to use lunar magic to bewitch others. You have to be that intelligent. And to understand Elden Stars, you don't have to be as intelligent, as faithful as you need to be to understand Elden Stars. Doesn't cost anything to use a bewitching branch, and the Empyrean Mikola is loved by many people. Indeed, he has learned very well how to compel such affection with an incantation of unalloyed gold. So that's unalloyed gold. But for gold, we need 50 faith. So this is the Elden Stars, and let's just look at it. We can't cast it, but let's just look at the sigil. Look at the icon. Immediately, what's jumping out at me is there's a spiral. There's a spiral right up the middle of it. So there's a beam, a straight beam of light being channeled through the center, and then a spiral going around, and then what looks like fireworks happening and like exploding crystals. Oh, you know what that is? It looks like runes. So on the outside, it looks like runes, like it looks like it's like shooting a beam. It's like shooting a beam, and the beam is being stabilized by a spiral. And then it looks like runes are flying out of it, because those look just like, especially a golden rune, especially this one. It's kind of broken. It's just not exploding. It's just like sitting stagnant. This is a different color, though. This has a little bit more red in it. That has a bit more red. So it's not like the Elden Stars is not like Newman Rune Gold. And Newman Rune Gold, the type of red gold it is like the color of homeward yearning. The primordial matter that became the Erd Tree. And we would know that to be the crucible. This is a manifestation of the Erd Tree's primal vital energies, an aspect of the primordial crucible, where all life was once blended together. So that's the color of the crucible. But this is now the Erd Tree. So the Elden Stars is a different color gold than the primordial matter that became the Erd Tree. It has the spiral, it has runes, and it has a beam going down the center. And actually, do we have any... That beam down the center... No, we don't have any of those spells yet. Kind of reminds me... It kind of looks like gravity, except gravity looks like a beam and then like a black hole at the end of it. Oh, it looks like a black hole. Like, even though when you shoot gravity well, the black hole goes first, this picture kind of makes it look like the black hole is shooting the beam. And this is gravity well. So it's pull. So the beam would actually be backwards because this looks pushing away. Same with this one. That's like a this one shows like it's collapsing stars. It really shows that it's like multiple things shooting, but like this one, it's hard to say. It kind of looks like a beam. That one, you could tell the rocks are flying. Not very graceful there. Okay. So Elden Stars. This legendary incantation is the most ancient of those that derive from the Erd Tree. Okay, so this is an incantation that derives from the Erd Tree, which is interesting that it derives from the Erd Tree. This is an Erd Tree incantation, Erd Tree incantation. One of the incantations of the Golden Order Fundamentalists. Okay, so this is the Golden Order Fundamentalists. This is one of their incantations, and that's a group of people. Derives from the Erd Tree. How do you get an incantation from the Erd Tree? Which one's this? Incantation of the Two Fingers Servants, and we know that the Two Fingers learn their incantations through finger readers who read a language of light. They learn their incantations from ciphers that hang in the air. Cipher pot, one of the weapons originating from the Two Fingers. A formless sequence of ciphers comprise its blade, and as such, no shield can repel it. The furtive inscription appears to hang in the air, the language of light spoken by the Two Fingers. And we also know from our talismans, the Two Fingers heirloom, a talisman engraved with the legend of the Two Fingers raises faith. Fingers cannot speak, yet these were eloquent. Persistently did they wriggle, spelling out the mysteries in the air. Thus did we gain the words of our faith. And lastly, speaking of words, I divide a whole into thirds. Words are gregarious things, drawn to one another much as people are, which is interesting because this shows that words and people are different. They're kind of separate. Words are gregarious things, drawn to one another much as people are. I love Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima is one of my favorite artists of all time. I'm a massive Metal Gear Solid fan, massive Death Stranding fan. Hideo Kojima is like top tier when it comes to making art. And like when Phantom Pain came out, Metal Gear Solid V, Phantom Pain, that I was like, I did not like the story of that game. Because what it was is it was advertised that you were going to play as Big Boss. But then it turns out you just play as a body double of Big Boss. You're just a copy of Big Boss. And the whole thing that you're fighting is this faceless guy. Like, his whole face was burned off. Kind of looks like a snake. For some convoluted reason, I don't know what his problem was, because his village was destroyed as a kid or something. I just like brush it off, but like, you know, he was really just like, he wasn't one of the big bads from the Metal Gear Solid universe, you know. He wasn't like, well, he wasn't Big Boss. He wasn't like Liquid Snake, you know. It was a prequel, so this guy was like a big villain, a huge villain in the story that you've never heard of before. And his backstory is just like, yeah, when I was a kid, the military did bad things to the place that I lived, and now I'm a villain. Like, you know, anybody could have wrote that. But what he tries to do is he tries to take over the world by destroying language, because what the issue was is that he lost his like birth language, and now he has to speak English. So he was going to destroy English by unleashing a voice parasite. And it's like, once you have the parasite can't jump until you speak. It was like some sort of vermin. Some sort of vermin. Vermin, obviously, from Bloodborne. That's what you can crush as one of the League of Confederate Covenant members. They added them in the Hunter's Nightmare DLC. And you would fight other hunters and they would drop vermin, and then you would crush the vermin. And when you were part of the League of Confederates, or whatever they're called, it was like, you know, you're able to see the vermin. And your whole goal is to hunt beasts and men who are carrying the vermin and crush them. And the vermin were centipede-like creatures. And the centipede also appeared in Bloodborne as an enemy in the Cainhurst Castle and behind Yosefska's clinic. They used and also in the bloodletting beast. And it's a headless bloodletting beast, and one of those kind of centipedes comes out of its neck. Very similar to the headless ape fight in Sekiro, which the centipede comes out of his neck, and that's the centipede that infests the Fountainhead Palace and grants immortality. But this is a different centipede. This is the centipede that we find in Dark Souls 1 in Quelaag's domain that is infecting the people with eggs. And the oldest centipede comes from the Witch of Isla's son, Ceaseless Discharge. He was given a magic ring, but he dropped the ring into the lava, and it turned into, I think, the centipede demon. I think that's the centipede timeline. Where was I going with that one? I don't... oh, yes, words are gregarious things. And the word virus from Metal Gear Solid. So the reason why I bring that up is because how do you get an incantation that derives from the Erd Tree? How do you get an incantation that derives from the Erd Tree? These incantations, these words that grant magical powers to the faithful, comes from a thing called the Two Fingers, and you don't know what they're saying. You have to, so a finger reader who has no eyes, when the fingers move, it makes a cipher of light. This is Elden Ring's lore. So in order to learn that spell, you have to watch these things that look like they're called two fingers, but they're not fingers. They're like gurgling, like fleshy, hairy wood things. You see them wiggle, and you have to be blind. You have to be a blind woman. You have to be. Well, we're talking about the finger readers right now. To be a finger reader, you have to be their voice, and you have to live lives eternal. So you have to live forever. And one of them served to royalty. So you have to be a forever living blind woman, because they've all been women. Now I sound like a freaking incel. It's always been women. And let me tell you, it's always women. It's always women reading those ciphers of light. Oh my god, it's so funny. The furtive inscription appears to hang in the air, so it's furtive, so it's forgetful. The furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. So it's an inscription that it's easy to forget. So these blind women are looking. They're looking at these giant fleshy hand things, and they see light in the air. And then, but they gotta remember what it looks like, but they can't see it. So I guess while they're probably moving, while they see it, they're tracing it, because you can see in the cipher pot it's all connected. So they're tracing this in the air. And then someone who has eyes is someone who can fucking see what's going on. Not this dude in his blindfold. Not fucking dudes wearing their prophet's blindfolds. You need someone with eyes. Aye. To be able to see and write it down and then tell other people what it says. And then you learn urgent heal. You learn heal. Cure poison. Magic fortification. Okay, that's how you learn that one. This one, the 3 fingers. Okay, so someone's looking at instead of they're not looking with their full eyes. They're only looking with 3 of their fingers, and they're seeing crazy light. This one you get from eating dragon hearts. Okay, that one made sense, right? Okay, just eat the dragon heart, and then you know how to do the dragon spell. You're just roaring like a dragon. That's what you're learning. This one, you're going insane, and you're shooting laser beams from your eyes, or you're getting a really bad migraine. This one, you repeat the words from, well, the Lord of Blood, so that makes sense. How do you learn how to put blood flame on your sword? Go to the Lord of Blood. He'll tell you how to do it. Servants of Rot. Yeah, everyone knows how to make a poison sword. The Servants of Rot, of course they would know. Chant these words and your farts can kill. This one is barely an incantation. This is throwing rocks. It is said that a time before the Erd Tree, stones were the first weapons of the beasts who had gained intelligence. So they get smart enough, but they didn't know how to read very well. But they knew how to tell each other to throw rocks and heal. What about this one? Black Flame Godskin Apostles. These guys were with the Glowmite Queen. They controlled death itself. They were servants to death. And this is actually just humanity from Dark Souls, so that's the Dark Soul for you. So all that how do they cast this magic? Dark Souls. This is prophets. Okay, fire, prophecy, and the fire monks. They're probably prophecy monks, and they don't even know it. Yeah, they're beguiled by flames. War against the giants. You know, they say that what is it? The god lives in the flames. Yeah, only a fire addict would say that. They're beguiled by it. They say that there's a god in the flame, and fire beguiles those who gaze into it. So the guardian of the flames are also its worshippers. So fire is a god, and look, it says right here. Raging ball of fire, inhabited by a fell god. Fell god's in the fire. Mimic lightning bolt. Capital's ancient dragon cult, which is befriended his fallen foe. So ancient dragon cult, Godwin the Golden, and the ancient dragon Fortisax. They're friends. The guy became friends with dragons, and then the dragons are like, here's how we fight with lightning bolts. So that makes sense. How did you learn how to use a lightning bolt? Well, the dragon taught me. That makes perfect sense. It's a fantasy game. I don't know what you want me to say. The dragon. I ate the dragon heart. I learned how to roar like a dragon, and I talked to the dragon, and I knew how to throw a lightning bolt. Gwyn is getting a little fishy now. If Gwyn knew how to throw lightning bolts, where did he learn how to do that? You think you just figure that out all on your own? Maybe a dragon taught him. Maybe that's why the Nameless King betrayed his father, because he was with the Storm. What was it? The King of the Storm. Yeah, the Nameless King and the King of the Storm. They allied with each other, maybe. And the reason why, because they're drakes, not dragons. Yeah, it looks like the drakes also got betrayed in Dark Souls too. Huh. Funny how they do the same story again. So yeah, how do you get words from the Erd Tree? Well, I'll tell you how you get words from the Erd Tree. With thine eyes dimmed, grace lives in the eyes. How do you... remember I said reading is a prison? That's the joke. My runes. What are runes? Grace that dwells within the inhabitants. The lingering residue of gold. Words. They're golden words. These are Newman's words, so different. This is the same. What's interesting is that this is different types of grace. So this is, but they're both runes. They're both words, but they could be different types of runes. But we don't know how to read any of them. But a finger maiden, they can read the language of light, and they can turn their runes into strength. Well, maybe they can. What does it say? Runes are a nourishment for a development of any tarnish, provided a finger maiden can be found. So instead of getting an old crone to read your words, and the old crone is like, read a book, kid. Listen to some stories. Here's your magic powers. The young finger maidens. The finger maidens. They say, I'll just make you stronger. That's what they'll do. You don't need to read the words. I'll tell you the words, and I'll literally make you stronger. The crones are just like, believe me, kid. Chant these words, and you'll be in darkness. You'll be an assassin. Okay. But the tree, how do you get runes from the Erd tree? Well, Melina said, this tiny golden aura, this is when we went to our first site of grace, and we did a talk to Melina. This tiny golden aura is the grace of the Erd tree, the light that once shone in the eyes of your tarnished brethren. But now it is all that guides you, or so I hear. So she doesn't even know. You can see them, can't you? The rays of grace that guide you through your burden. That's interesting. Because not everyone can see grace. Everyone says they can, that they saw it or they can't see it anymore, but we don't actually know. Here's a mimic grace. Doesn't have any order. Doesn't go anywhere in particular. But we've seen grace. It's also a different colored gold. This grace is a different color gold, I think. This is like gold. This is kind of light gold. Like a pinkish, maybe? Maybe unalloyed? Maybe? I don't know. Just doesn't look like the same color, but I'm colorblind, so I could be wrong. This just doesn't look like the same color as like a mimic grace. And that was good that I'm happy. I see why mimic graces are now in the game. It allows you to just see what a grace looks like, even when you're not at a site of grace. How cool is that? So Melina could be lying that the tiny golden order we see came from the Erd tree. This might not have come from the Erd tree. And the grace that everyone else is talking about might be something else. It might be something else. Because, like, these runes don't look like these runes. And they don't look like... where's our spirit calling bell? Can I pass it? Where is it? Oh, they don't look like these runes. They don't look like these runes. These are the two fingers of runes. They don't look like these runes. So, like, whose runes are they? Whose runes are they? That's interesting. And depending on whose runes they are, does it matter which finger maiden reads the runes? Ooh. And Melina plays the role of a finger maiden. She's not even actually a finger maiden, because the finger maidens, most of the finger maidens in the lands between, are two fingers finger maidens. Because look, this is a finger seal. Or are they? This actually might be... You know, this doesn't look like the two fingers I know. But this two fingers on the nails, there's spirals, and it kind of looks like knuckles. But it doesn't say two finger seal. It just says finger seal. And this is the Godslayer seal. This is the seal of the Godslayer. This is the seal of the fingers. This is the seal of the claw mark. This one makes sense. It's a rock with beast fur and beast claws, but maybe that's how they wrote. Oh, the 3 claw marks could mean something. There could be significance in 3 claw marks. Oh, there is a significance in 3 claw marks. Sacred seal. What is it, actually? Is it something with a scar? Is it like flesh that was... Oh, yeah, there's fur on it. So it was flesh that was scarred with a 3. And then removed and then put in a seal. Yeah, because it kind of looks like scarred flesh. And this is blood, so that makes sense. I mean, if you can have... This is formless Drake blood. So if you're using blood to cast incantations, you can also use a seal. You can use... I guess, well, you could use seal flesh, if that's what it is. Gerank's Wrath. So this was his. Because the 3 means Gerank's Wrath. The claw mark represents Gerank's Wrath. And this was granted by the beast clergyman. So he was wrathful, because this means wrathful, these 3 cuts. Well, so far, thinking of actually cuts. Go to our key items again. A Fingerslayer blade to slay fingers. To cut fingers. And fingers, they're a faction. We don't like them. They're weird, they wiggle. But the old crones say, they're of course, they wouldn't be lying. This beast eye, does this have 3? Oh, the beast eye has 3 cuts. Claw-marked stone, I received from Gerank Beast Clergyman. The claw mark means Gerank's Wrath. So this eye has Gerank's Wrath. And it trembles near Deathroot. The hidden treasure of the Eternal State knock around a blade said had been born of a corpse. Blood-drenched finish. Whose blood? Is the corpse's blood or someone else's blood? Is it Gerank's blood? Proof of the high treason committed by the Eternal City and to symbolize its downfall. Cannot be wielded by those without a fate, but is said to be able to harm the greater will and its vassals. Ooh. Its vassals like its vassal fingers. Okay, so the greater will and the fingers, they're on each other's side. But the incantations from the fingers, the language of light spoken by the fingers, they don't come from the Erd tree. They don't come from the Erd tree. When we gave Corin a finger, the finger assassin prayer book, he said, this is a work of heresy. It bears no lineage to the Erd tree. So these spells, even though these are the spells he teaches us, they don't bear any lineage to the Erd tree. Corin is wearing a blindfold. He has no idea. I don't know if he can read. And it's different than Elden Stars. This legendary incantation is the most ancient of those that derive from the Erd tree. Okay, so his religion is, if it doesn't derive from the Erd tree, it's heresy. Creates a stream. Okay, a stream. That's a current. That's a current, just like a waterfall. Just like the primeval current. Just like the fairy, Dancer in Blue, whose blade was flowing water and sealed a god of rot. Blade in hand, a swordsman sealed away an ancient god, a god that was rot itself, because the Dancer in Blue represents a fairy who in legend bestowed a flowing sword upon a blind swordsman. Blind again. Couldn't read the words, but you know the words of flowing, of stream, of maybe a primeval current, if you will. Creates we could change stream to, creates a current of golden shooting stars that assail the area. Ooh, assail the area. And that is kind of like, I got a picture that looks just like that. Look at this, weathered map. Depicts streaks of amber light. Amber. Ooh, that's amber light. But it doesn't... those falling stars, that amber light, those streaks of amber light, they don't look like... They don't look like these types of starlight shards. Different color. Does it look like this color? This color? This color, this color, this color. Does it look like this color? I don't know. So there might be 2 different types of golden stars. Golden shooting stars that assail the area. What do we know about shooting stars? Well, shooting star, I think there's also a falling star. Who else likes shooting stars? Golden shooting stars. Oh, we know who else likes shooting stars. Glintstone stars. One of the glintstone sorceries of the Academy of Raya Lucaria fires 3 magic shooting stars that pursue the target. A sorcery of the Olivinus Conspectus, which attracts sorcerers from Celia, town of sorcery. So these are magic shooting stars, glintstone shooting stars. Those are magic. And these are golden shooting stars, but not any type of golden shooting stars. These are Elden Stars. And the Celians are interested in shooting stars, and they might be interested in golden shooting stars. What else do we know about the Celians? Well, we also know they were part of the Haima Conspectus, who adjudicated the Academy, so the Celians controlled the Academy. They controlled the Academy. They controlled the Academy, except maybe until the Carians arrived. Or allied with the Crystallians. The Crystallians have the wisdom of stone, and they know about the primeval current. The Crystallians are inorganic beings, yet they live. They cleave close to the ideals of the primeval current. As such, they are revered as guests of the sorcerers. Not only that, but they worship the sun, the crystal sun. The crystal sun allies pretty well with the full moon people. Doesn't really ally with the group that can make black holes. Eternal darkness. Forbidden sorcery of Celia, town of sorcery. Creates a space of darkness that draws in sorceries and incantations. Would it pull in Elden Stars? Let's say, originally a lost sorcery of the Eternal City, the despair that brought about its ruin made manifest. Eternal darkness can suck in incantations. Perhaps eternal darkness was summoned by the Eternal City, and it brought about their ruin made manifest. Well, what do we know about eternal darkness? Elden Stars. Golden shooting stars. What do we know about eternal darkness? Well, if we look at Briars of Sin, the guilty, their eyes gouged by thorns, lived in eternal darkness. There, they discovered the Blood Star. Who else knows about the Blood Star? Black leather shield. Round shield covered in black leather on a larger side of a medium-sized shield. From the north. The shield depicts the polar star in rivets of gold. The inside is lined with fur, protecting the carrier from frost. That gold doesn't look just gold, it looks a little bloody too. It looks like blood and gold mixed together. Kind of reminds me of the red tinge in the gold coat that mirrors the primordial matter that became the Erd Tree, the color of homeward yearning. Kind of reminds me of that color. So let's say the Celians accidentally summoned, or not the Celians, could have been the Celians. Someone in the Eternal City accidentally summoned eternal darkness. What would happen? Well, it looks like a black hole. It's sucking it in. It sucks in Elden Stars, which is a shooting star, like a meteorite, one of the glintstone sorceries that manipulates gravitational forces. This sorcery originates from the Onyx Lords, who had skin of stone and were called lords in their reverential fear of their destructive power. So the Onyx Lords had the ability to summon shooting stars. They could summon meteorites. The Olivinus Conspectus, they're trying to make magic, and these are just rocks. They're just summoning rocks. What if the Eternal City was at odds with the Onyx Lords? I mean, we found an Onyx Lord in the Caria Everjail. This is where we got that spell. The Salians also tagging around the ancient dynasty with their priests using bubble magic. They're all about night. The Salians are all about night. What were the Onyx Lords about? Were they all about night? Skin of Onyx is dark, kind of night, as opposed to Alabaster. They're white skin of stone. That's who Radon was taught under. So the Carians are allied with the Alabaster Lords, not the Onyx Lords. Who are the Salians allied with? Who are the night people, the night sorceries? Are they allied with the Alabasters? It would make sense if they were allied with the full moon people, because the moon comes out at night. But the moon goes through phases and doesn't have issues with the day. So although on the surface it would look like the Carians would be allied with the Salians and ostensibly the Nox, because this is from the Night Maidens, who come from the eternal city of Nokron. Doesn't look like the Carians are on the side of the Nox, or the Nocronians, even though they have similar worship. Even though they worship the same swordstresses. The statues of them, at least. And the Nox, long ago the Nox invoked the ire of the Greater Will and were banished deep underground. Now they live under a false night sky, an eternal anticipation of their liege, of their coming age of stars, and their lord of night. Well, what stars? Elden Stars? Their Lord of Night. Well, the Carians, I don't think, want just a Lord of Night, because they also need day. The moon needs day. It has to go through its phases. It has to go to the full moon, all the way to the new moon, or, as it's also known as, the dark moon. But the snowy crone taught the young Ranni to fear the dark moon as she imparted her cold sorcery. Be afraid of the dark moon. Doesn't say don't trust the dark moon. Doesn't say don't ally yourself with the dark moon. Doesn't say hate the dark moon. Doesn't say love the dark moon. It just says fear the dark moon. Why fear the dark moon? Eclipse Crest Great Shield. The eclipse sun drained of color is the protective star of soulless demigods. It aids the Mausoleum Knights by keeping destined death at bay. This shows the sun drained of color, and then if it's an eclipse, it's a moon. And the moon in front of it is dark. The moon in front of it is dark. This doesn't look like a full moon to me. That looks like a dark moon. It's scary. Not only can it drain the sun of its color, but it will protect the soulless demigods. It's a protective star. So it's like twofold. It drains the sun of color, and since it drains the sun of color, it can protect soulless demigods. It aids the Mausoleum Knights by keeping destined death at bay. And the Mausoleum Knights listen to the tolling bell of the Mausoleum. The tolling bell of the Mausoleum, like a spirit calling bell, which can summon spirits, obviously. Spirit calling bell, the spirit tuning. Roderica kind of plays the role of a finger maiden, one could say, because she tunes the spirit and enhances its strength. Kind of like how Melina turns runes into strength for the Tarnished, or how the Firekeeper takes Sovereignless souls and, enhances the Ashen One's vessel, or how the Maiden in Black has the Slayer of Demons touch the demon inside of her and grant strength so that the world might be mended. Roderica could be doing that with the spirits. And she uses Glovewort. She uses flowers. She uses Ghost Glovewort. She uses other spirits, or she just uses Grave Glovewort. So she either, gets some spirits to tag along with you know, who do we have spirits tagging along with? Latenna, she got like 4 spirits hanging out with her. She got a posse. So does Dean. So does Olga. Oleg's got spirits chilling with him. Hugus got some spirits chilling with him. Our ancestral followers got some extra spirits hanging out with them. Our wolves got spirits chilling with them, making them stronger. So I don't think the Sellians are involved in that. And if they're from the Eternal City, but they're also Mimic people, maybe Mimic people invaded the Eternal City, and they summoned Eternal Darkness. So Eternal Darkness would bring the Elden Stars, and maybe it's because maybe they're in opposition to the to like stop the Onyx Lords or something. I don't know. But we know the Nox. Before we continue reading, we know the Nox are the Nox Mirrorhelm. They're trying to ward off intervention from the Greater Will and its vassal fingers. They don't like the Greater Will and its vassal fingers, and the Greater Will doesn't like them because they invoked its ire, and now they live underground. It is said long ago the Greater Will sent a golden star bearing a beast into the lands between, which would later become the Elden Ring. Oh, okay, so looks like to me the Nox pissed off the Greater Will so much, he's like, fuck it, I'm sending a beast, and it's coming on some golden stars, on a stream of light. I'm just beaming a beast down to the lands between because you pissed me off. You invoked my ire, and I am a vengeful will. My will is vengeance. And I am punishing the lands between. You have now been punished. You've invoked my ire, and now here is a beast. And this beast is going to turn into the Elden Ring. What happened to the Elden Ring? What happened to the Elden Ring? Anyone know what happened to the Elden Ring? Oh, that's right. Marika shattered it. Oh, and what did she... What happened after she shattered the Elden Ring? She got imprisoned in the Erd Tree. Imprisoned in the Erd Tree. And now the two fingers are like, oh, go be her king. Go be her king for our Erd Tree. Erd Tree sounds bad, actually, now. Shattering the Elden Ring seems like the good thing to do. That's what I'm getting at. I think shattering Elden... If the Elden Ring is this beast, like... So we're saying, you know, people are going to say, you know, America, she's bad. She's bad. She's not good. She's not a good person because she shattered the Elden Ring. Look what happened to the world after she shattered the Elden Ring. The world is in chaos now. There's war and famine. But, like, you know, the Elden Ring was a beast from space. And the only reason it's here, perhaps, is because somebody invoked the ire of the Greater Will. Maybe if no one pissed off the Greater Will, there wouldn't be an Elden Ring. And a tree that has its avatars come out and shoot more stars. And spread its tendrils throughout the entirety of the lands between. But that's not just what happened. It isn't just a golden tree. It's also the crucible. The Erd Tree is the Erd Tree because of the crucible, not just the Elden Ring. A vestige of the crucible of primordial life, born partially of de-evolution. It was considered a signifier of the divine in ancient times, but is now increasingly disdained as an impurity as civilization has advanced. Is this before the Elden Ring's arrival or after? Born partially of de-evolution, it was considered a signifier of the divine in ancient times, but is now increasingly disdained as an impurity and civilization. So, and we also actually know, it's said to have grown in the human body. Yeah, it's the fungus. The crucible is the fungus growing on someone's body. You could see the mycelial making the knot in the flesh, de-evolution. So the fungus is causing people to de-evolve. The fungus is causing people to turn into animals. Some people can harness the power, but the Crucible Knights aren't really people anymore. They don't bleed. They're like tree guys, I guess. Which would... Well, that'll make sense soon. Well, that's going to help us in a few episodes from now. So, which would later become... So first it was a beast, and then it would become the Elden Ring. So how long between beast to Elden Ring did this happen? How long was it a beast before it was the Elden Ring? And how long was it the Elden Ring before it was the Erd Tree? Blessings once fell like tears from the Erd Tree, and this incantation is but a lingering remnant of their power. So the Erd Tree is crying. But if the Erd Tree is crying, where are the tears coming from? If the Erd Tree is crying, where are the tears coming from? Well, the answer, you might say, well, it's coming from the tree. It's the sap. Talisman depicting a drop of the Erd Tree's sap, a blessed boon. It was once thought that the blessed sap of the Erd Tree would drip from its boughs forever. But that age of plenty swiftly came to a close, and with time, the Erd Tree became more of an object of faith. So is it the Erd Tree's sap? But wait a second. How does a tree produce sap? It needs to absorb things through its roots. We're in the deep root. We're in the deep, deep root. And when I think of root resin, these are roots secreted from the roots of the great tree. The roots of the great tree were once linked to those of the Erd Tree, or so they say. And it's for this reason catacombs are built around great tree roots. This kind of looks like blood. This kind of looks like the color of homeward yearning. This kind of looks like the crucible to me. The color of this resin from the roots, whatever it is. And they put dead bodies into it. Just like a Miranda flower, which eats people, a man-eating Miranda flower. But this doesn't look like a flower, it looks like trees. I wonder if Miranda is crucible. That would be interesting to know. Is Miranda crucible or Erd? Does Miranda come from the Erd or the crucible? The Erd Tree comes from the Erd. Comes from... Gosh, it comes from the Elden. Erd derives from Elden. At least that's what it sounds like in the game. Is the Great Tree, is that Crucible, or is that something else? But where do the tears come from? Is it the Erd Tree then? Or is it the Great Tree? Or what else cries? Because that talisman doesn't just say the sap. It says dew. Looks like a drop like this, a drop of dew. Depicting the drop of dew. Tall oval shield made of metal carried by young albinorix. The ornamentation represents the primordial drop of dew from which they are said to have been created. That drop of dew... You know what comes... If it's the dew from the Erd Tree, that would also make it perhaps a tear. A teardrop shape of the Carians. If people are drinking... If they're drinking the sap and they think it's dew, that would kind of be like hidden tears, also known as night tears. Why are they called night tears? Where do these tears come from? Celestial dew. Oh, does it come from the stars? Well, the top of the celestial dew kind of looks like an eye. Kind of looks like an eye. Kind of looks like the beast eye. Also kind of looks like the... Kind of looks like the Godslayer seal. Kind of looks like an eye. Or, at the top of celestial dew, do we actually see the moon? Is it not tears from the Erd tree, tears from the Great Tree, tears from the Elden Ring, silver tears, mimic tears, reborn again and again into imitation? Perhaps one day I will be reborn a lord. Mimic tears are the results of an attempt by the Eternal City to forge a lord. What if the tears are due and they come from the moon? Because the only place that you can use larval tears, cores of a creature of mimicry known as a silver tear, is at Renala, queen of the full moon. Why go back to the moon? Queen's crescent crown, a tall crown depicting the moon. It's in the shape of a crescent. Just like the Shotel, a curved sword. Just like the Shamshir, a curved sword. Just like the Nox flowing sword, a curved sword. It's in a crescent. Just like the crescent moon axe. The crescent moon of its name is said to have been spurred by nostalgia. Nostalgia for what? Large curved club of hardwood, shaped like a crescent moon. Why do the Albinorics harry a crescent moon that is spurred by nostalgia? Perhaps they miss their mother. The ornamentation represents the primordial drop of dew from which they are said to have been created. Albinorics are life forms made by human hands. Thus many believe them to live impure lives, untouched by the Erd tree's grace, but bathed in the grace of the moon. The enchanting, bewitching moon. Tree branch blessed with an incantation of unalloyed gold. The Empyrean Mikola is loved by many people. Indeed, he has learned very well how to compel such affection. All right, everybody, you know the drill. Let's do the thing.
And that's what I like about the mimic commentary. You're not reading to people. The way you say things and you talk, it's just not scripted. And I'm sure you have like videos where you read a script and stuff, but the mimic commentary is my inspiration because it's not scripted. You fumble and you say things, and then you're like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe it's this. And then you're, Jack, you've changed my life. You've changed the way I see YouTube. It's all your fault.
Shadow modes when my dad is strong, contagious, I pass it on to others, create some kind of high that doesn't ever low. So if you listen to it, cool. If not, to keep it moving, cause I'm feeling good off what I do, and I don't wanna ruin this mood. I'm over it, I got my own pair of speakers hitting hard enough to smoke you out from being in the room. Things have changed, I still bring it in and keep it swing like I've been drinking more than what I can. You may not believe it till you see me going wild, and I don't make it look as though the flow is difficult, the crowd's true. I'm lifted with the ism, quick to spot it down, around to put the cloudy thoughts into my sky that doesn't have them. Twisted laughing at the mess I got myself into another. Jam is funky as you said, he's proud to be his fella. Take a ride with me live, MC drama in the wind. I go by many names, such as who the fuck he think he is. I'm in slow. I was racing at a fast pace. I was running on the wheel, like, where did this come from? There's never enough done. I must be in love again to see as clear as let it go on anymore. Who I am and what I'm not, caught up in how much things aren't the way that I had ever thought. I was racing at a fast pace. I was running on the wheel, like, where did this come from? There's never enough done. I must be in love again to see as clear as let it go. addicted. Let me do my thing, material I kick is not restricted. Pick another way to front, it's nothing to me when I'm lifted. Another jam for underground heads is what I am. The musical discoveries of fine rewind to tell a friend to put their hands up. Don't act like they're in handcuffs and dig it, cause there's no need to spill your guts around this blunt I've written. It'll all be over soon. With a group that's coming up, but not until we make the kids who say they love us say we suck, things for noticing. Vocal overdose around with teeth and with plenty that I feel as much as ripples through their feet. Celebrate and laugh every track, the fact we made it further to reflect on what we had to do to get to where we're at. Taking the motivation from the show and only you were there to see us. Yeah, you best believe it, keeps me in the lab. This is how I live, open arms, paradise in every song. With the ease of a tropical beach on microphones higher than I've ever gone. Feet in the sand, until the summer breeze wants me to know that it's there. I'm in. I was racing at a fast pace. I was running on the wheel. Where did this come from? There's never enough done. I must be in love again to see as clear as let it go on anymore. Who I am and what I'm not. Caught up in how much things aren't the way that I had ever thought. I was racing at a fast pace. I was running on the wheel. Where did this come from? There's never enough done. I must be in love again to see as clear as let it go.
Basically, what I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to come there and make me look good. If you do a good job, well, then you could be my best friend that I've ever had.
Fun loving underneath the creature, stirring from the hurdles and turning the world into a track and field without a break. When you're without a deal, you have to grind it out and keep promoting. Undiscovered's been too much for me to take. It's as if I'm pushing buttons like a drum machine on ones I never met. Who hear me rhyme and size me up with budgets that they're working with and what I've been through. There's no comparison to overcoming what it would have done unless I hadn't let it take me under. Don't even try to guilt trip. Was born and raised Catholic. That's turning people into things that no one had imagined. Can use a raise. Either way, another classic album has a margarita taste while on vacation type of power. Rock on to the beatbox, go eat a drop. Whether hip hop's ready or not, you can get back to me, I'm hot. And I mean that fully, no hurry, cause it won't stop me from the top. I spy and blow up the spot with a rhyme I'm holding that's got control of your motor a lot. The engine revving is it wants to be competitive. Isn't the only way that I can ride an instrumental that knocks till it lifts your feet out your socks and you're breathing patterns. Or if you're fleeing the scene from them cops, I'm getting crossed forever. The record stores don't have us in stock, but you can hear us down the street from the cars on your block while in. I was racing at a fast pace. I was running on the wheel. Where did this come from? There's never enough done. I must be in love again to see as clear as let it go on anymore. Who I am and what I'm not. Caught up in how much things aren't the way that I had ever thought. I was racing at a fast pace. I was running on the wheel. Where did this come from? There's never enough done. I must be in love again to see as clear as let it go. Searching my brain for the words to convey what occurs, how important it is to explain in a verse. How I'm more than some words on a page that learn how to wait for the turn to escape. As I rumble with time, being humble and kind as I can without losing the vibe that I'm hungry inside. What I've done, where I'm at's not enough to laugh at how long that we spent doing us. That you must explain how my personal pain is the same as your own now. I'm drawing a blank cause I live where it's too dark for some to live. Deep inside yourself with an awful brand, that's how it is. The top five they argue with are mostly not alive for the argument. I'm turning setbacks into positives, making it obvious that we do not give in, forget it. You should take it as a compliment to be another obstacle we're conquering. I said it, it's life hard, of course it is. It's the first thing you need to cross off your list. I'm headed to where you can come and dance with us, and I'll enhance the drugs that you're on like a champion. I can't thank Marcus enough for the things that he's done that have brought you to us to discuss how we used to share beautiful days, but the new songs we made aren't blowing you away. Okay, we aren't grabbing your body and soul compared to what? To a Henry David Thoreau? Let's go. I agree to a Radiohead when they hear windmills on the stereo set. You bad, I don't belong here. Nothing I said is ever gonna make a difference in any of them. No swear that it's so young and confident, getting older, telling me the opposite. So why should I thrive off the awkwardness and not convinced how hard we fought for this? Am I agree to a Radiohead when they hear windmills on the stereo set? You bad, I don't belong here. Nothing I said is ever gonna make a difference in any of them. No swear that it's so young and confident, getting older, telling me the opposite. So why should I thrive off the awkwardness and not convinced how hard we fought for this?
It takes time to sculpt. You know what I'm saying? This shit was done over years. There's no time on. You know what I mean? I feel that if they knew that, they would appreciate it more.
Extreme highs and lows that are starting to show from steady having to hold on with nothing to hold. The underground is a ghost town you stumble upon, while the few of us left here be carrying on. The same as earthworms when they surface and rain and march down the street like a circus parade. It isn't hard to find who we are, it's as calm as a bomb that's about to go off. Yet I think the kind of time I spent with the rhyme, you deserve what you get and been digging your own grave. So if you're looking for somebody to blame, then remember the name frame. Things are gonna be great for a change. You want it right now, show me how you live. I can handle what you're throwing without knowing what it is. I've gone way past a little bumpy on the road, or looking at it saying, is this really what I chose? It's no longer what it used to be. Oh, I'm more than ready when I choose to speak. This kind of music has took lives. That's not what I hope. You listen to me and think life is only a joke, or as cold as the snow when it's 20 below. When your car's broken down on the side of the road, I'm unique and it's shown from the goal. If I'm not gonna fold now, I'd rather go on, so come on. Am I agree to a Radiohead when they hear windmills on the stereo set? You bad, I don't belong here. Nothing I said is ever gonna make a difference in any of them. No swear that it's so young and confident, getting older, telling me the opposite. So why should I thrive off the awkwardness and not convinced how hard we fought for this? Am I agree to a Radiohead when they hear windmills on the stereo set? You bad, I don't belong here. Nothing I said is ever gonna make a difference in any of them. No swear that it's so young and confident, getting older, telling me the opposite. So why should I thrive off the awkwardness and not convinced how hard we fought